Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The Bulacan Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council is now on red alert status as a severe tropical storm, Goryeo, continues to intensify the southwest monsoon. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
Several parts of Bulacan are now flooded due to the heavy downpour caused by the effect of the southwest monsoon intensified by Tropical Cyclone Goryeo. The Bulacan Provincial Risk Reduction and Management Council says areas affected by floods are the towns of Marilao, Maykawayan, Kalumpit, and Hagonoy. In Marilao, floodwater has reached near waist level in Barangay Tabing Ilog and Ibayo, while several vehicles remain stranded along MacArthur Highway. In Maykawayan City, floodwater is around 3 to 4 feet high in Villa Samantha and Soriente Road in Barangay Kaingin. 7 barangays in Hagonoy are still submerged in floodwater. These are San Jose, Santa Monica, Santo Rosario, Sagrada, San Pascual, San Nicolas, and Santo Niño. In Kalumpit, 8 towns have been affected including barangays Sapang Bayan, Gatbuka, Frances, San Miguel, Calizon, Bukusan, Santa Lucia, and Gugo. The PDRRMC says aside from heavy rains, high tide and the release of water from Bustos Dam also resulted into flooding. Despite this, no residents evacuated from their homes.
Sa ngayon, batay sa pakikipag-usap natin sa mga LGUs, wala naman po tayong evacuees. Pero ang mga bayan naman, mga LGUs, talaga po may mga stockpile yan. Food and non-food items.
The PDRRMC is now on red alert to immediately respond to the damages that might be caused by the tropical cyclone in the province. The PDRRMC advises residents to continue monitoring weather updates and to not hesitate to evacuate if the floods in their area continue to rise. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Residents in Kamanava areas say they are used to floods in their area, especially at this time of the year. Maki Libradilla tells us why.
Nanay Marieta says she has been enduring the heavy flood every year. She said roads in their place have been elevated 5 times already, but the situation remains the same during heavy downpour. But she says the flood water on roads now subsided a bit easier, unlike last year, though the flood water in their houses remains deep.
Parang wala na hong solusyon yung baha na to Dahil taon-taon na lang, ganyan pa rin ang tubig. Umi-stack pa rin sa loob ng bahay namin, tsaka sa karsada.
In Valenzuela City, this part of MacArthur Highway in Marulas and nearby roads look like a river. Small vehicles were unable to pass through the said road. The flood was on knee level in Dalandanan, Valenzuela City earlier this morning. In Maypaho, Caloocan, some houses were inundated after floodwater reached above knee at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Meanwhile, based on the images captured by AI Antipuesto, Constancia Street in Tugatog, Malabon is deeply submerged in floodwater as well as the Navotas Fishport. Maki Libradilla, UNTV News and Rescue, Caloocan City.
Piles of garbage are blamed for fast rising of floodwaters in Olongapo City in just a few days of rains. During a clearing operation of drainage and canal today, garbages like plastic, styrofoam were found blocking the waterways. This is despite an existing ordinance in the city that prohibits the use of plastic in establishments. Authorities have once again reminded the public about the proper disposal of waste to avoid clogging of sewage systems and eventually flooding.
Meanwhile, the Marikina local government ensures proper coordination of agencies for disaster preparedness. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Marikina City is known to be experiencing frequent floods due to heavy rains. This is the reason why the local government ensures that proper protocol during disaster response is being implemented. Marikina Rescue 161 officer in charge Dave David says now that Goryeo is also affecting Metro Manila, they continue to closely monitor the level of water in Marikina River.
Meron kaming limang monitoring sites na tinitignan sa Rizal and Antipolo ng mga mountains. doon nakabase yung magiging volume ng tubig na pupunta rito sa Marikina River.
David adds they have established a response protocol wherein various local agencies are given specific roles to perform during disaster response.
Lahat ng agencies within the local government unit defined yung role nila. Us in the Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office, kami yung nasa amin yung command center, monitoring and controlling yung incident. And part nun sa role namin is yung search and water rescue.
He says they have sufficient number of people who will monitor the safety of the city 24/7 here in their command center.
Hindi pa kami dumadating dun sa alarm level, but all agencies, all departments under ng local government ng Marikina ay nasa preparation mode na.
As of 6:30 p.m. today, the highest water level recorded in Marikina was 14.7 on 12 noon, which is far from critical level yet. David says they're expecting the water level to be decreased in the succeeding hours as PAGASA predicts lighter rains in the coming hours. Joyce Balancio, UNTV News and Rescue, Marikina City.
The Quezon City government is on the defensive after it was criticized for declaring late class suspension despite the continuous rains. PAGASA said local government units should thoroughly study first the effects of raining in their respective area before declaring class suspension. Ray Pelayo explains why.
Quezon City Acting Mayor Joy Belmonte drew flack from netizens for not immediately suspending classes today despite the continuous rains. Mike Marasigan of the Quezon City DRRMO argues local officials monitored the weather condition the whole night before deciding on the matter. In the Emergency Operations Center of Quezon City, they can determine the amount of rain that pours in a specific area in the city. They also have monitors connected to more than 240 CCTVs. Based on the QC government's estimates, the city can withstand the thunderstorms if the rains will not continue pouring in.
Yes, umuulan pero mawawala din siya, and then we will go back to that moderate or light to moderate rains. So hindi namin makitang reason din siya to suspend.
Belmonte says it is not easy to cancel classes without a valid reason, as the 30% of the city's students who graduated in the elementary don't know yet how to read.
As much as possible, tinitipid namin yun kasi once we exceed that, yung maapektuhan na yung learning ng mga bata, no?
I-cancel na lang po sana yung pasok nang hindi po kami mahirapan. Kasi po mahirap sumakay katulad niyan, tapos nag-aalala pa po yung mga magulang namin.
Abala, bakit po? PAGASA meanwhile favors the local government officials but advises them to thoroughly study first the effect of rains in their respective areas before declaring class suspension. The agency explains the strength of thunderstorms are not the same in all areas. Aside from Quezon City, classes were also not immediately suspended in Pasig and Makati.
Sa atin kasi nakikita lang natin na bakit hindi nagpapa-suspend yung Quezon City, yung Manila. Parang kinukumpara na hindi naman dapat ikumpara ngayon baka mamaya wala na yung lugar na may baha ngayon dahil wala na yung ulan uli.
At 11 in the morning, classes in Quezon City was suspended due to continuous rains brought by thunderstorms. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
And residents living along rivers in Barangay Rojas District in Quezon City have already returned to their homes. Rajel Adora is in Barangay Rojas in Quezon City to tell us why live. Good evening, Rajel.
Yes, William, residents here in Barangay Rojas District, Quezon City have started cleaning their homes as flood water begins to subside. They were forced to evacuate the barangay covered court when the nearby river burst its banks, raising flood water to waist level. Some of the houses in the said area experienced at least 6 feet level of flood water during rain. Meanwhile, authorities used rescue boats to bring food to the evacuees and to residents who are still stranded in their houses. But residents say they are already used to evacuate and then return to their homes when the flood water subsides after a heavy rain. Like Aling Alzaida, who have been there since her birth. Now she's 60 years old, and according to her, when it's raining, they just bring their things upstairs.
Pagka ganyan na nag-uumpisa na yung baha po at saka yung ulan pa lang, nag-aano na kami ng mga gamit namin pataas. Inakyat na po. Kanina mataas-taas po kanina ang baha hanggang dito. Ayan, yung ano na yan.
William, the situation here is now getting back to normal and the barangay officials have started and making turns for the affected residents. And that is the latest situation here in Barangay Rojas, District, Quezon City. Back to you.
Thank you, Rajel Adora, reporting live from Barangay Rojas, Quezon City.
9 high-profile inmates were returned to maximum security compound of the National Bilibid Prison. Meanwhile, the PNP Special Action Force conducted Oplan Galugad inside NBP early dawn today. Victor Cosare tells us why.
I cannot confirm kung meron pa pong naiwan pero siyam lang po talaga yung sinabi sa amin na kailangang ilipat from Superintendent Roberto Rabo. Pabalik po ng Building 14.
High-profile inmates Vicente C., Rico Caja, Benjamin Marcelo, Sam Lichua, Peter Co., Hans Anton Tan, Joel Capones, Jojo Baligad, and Jose Chua were returned today to the new Bilibid Prison's maximum security compound. The Bureau of Corrections said they were transferred to the medium security compound in March without the permission of the Department of Justice.
Unang-una, hindi malinaw kung bakit yung mga high-profile drug lords na yan ay nilipat from Building 14 to at saka from maximum nilipat to medium. And then kasi yung ang lipat is within the penitentiary, NBP, hindi na yan sinasangguni sa akin. Walang approval sa akin yan.
Aguirre is confident that the high-profile inmates will not retract their statements against Senator Laila de Lima now that they are back to the maximum security compound. Meanwhile, operatives of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency and the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, together with members of the PNP Special Action Force, raided the medium and maximum security compounds of the new Bilibid prisons this morning. The police seized a number of contrabands, including cell phones, bladed weapons, and suspected illegal substances.
Katulad po nung sa maximum, ay iba-iba po yung mga pinapagkuhanan. Yung iba nakatago talaga, yung iba naman nakikita lang sa loob ng mga selda nila.
Oplan Galugad aims to clear the National Penitentiary of prohibited items following reports of resurgence of illegal drug trade inside the new Bilibid prisons. Reports say illegal activities inside Bilibid involve some members of the previous batch of SAF troopers. That's why the PNP replaced them with a new batch of contingents. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Officials revealed that not only illegal drugs have returned to the new Bilibid prison, but also the so-called kubol of high-profile inmates. This has been the revelation of Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre, who said it was discovered during the Oplan Galugad earlier in the newly built kubols in the medium security compound. He says it's not noticeable that the kiosks are newly built. The Justice Secretary says he will order the destruction of the kiosks following return of the high-profile inmates to the Building 14 at the maximum security compound.
Nagkakaroon ng report dyan. Bakit nagkaroon ng kubol dyan sa timing ng ilipat dyan yung mga high-profile drug lords.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre denies the claim of some senators that there was a cover-up in the killing of Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa. Roderick Mendoza tells us why.
The Department of Justice is not keeping anything in the dark about the Espinosa Islay case. Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre has this to say after senators claimed during yesterday's hearing that there was a cover-up in the mayor's killing after the case was downgraded to homicide. Former officials and men of PNP CIDG Region 8, led by Police Superintendent Marvin Marcos, who assaulted the cell and killed Espinosa, were able to post bail and are now back into service.
Everybody is entitled to his own opinion. But so far as I know, walang cover-up dyan.
Aguirre also stood by the decision of the DOJ to downgrade the case against Marcos and his men from murder to homicide. He says it doesn't follow that when there is conspiracy, the killing is already premeditated.
Premeditation is different from conspiracy. And even assuming that there is premeditation, ang premeditation would not qualify the crime of homicide to murder unless the premeditation is evident.
The secretary also said the reversal of the prosecutor's resolution on the case is not unusual. The prosecutor who first investigated the case found that Espinosa was killed intentionally and filed murder charges against the policeman. The investigation of the NBI has the same results.
Sometimes the resolution of the NPS is affirmed, sometimes it's reversed. So natural lamang yun.
Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Next on Y News. The Commission on Elections assures to meet the necessary preparations in time for the local polls in October.
The Philippine Olympic Committee withdraws Philippine hosting of the 2019 SEA Games.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, plans to limit the time of operation of Uber and Grab.
Y News will be right back. Prosecution witnesses landed a big blow against former Senator Bong Revilla on PDAF scam cases. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Some local officials and residents in Quezon and Quirino provinces deny signing any certificate of acceptance and acknowledgement receipts of livelihood projects from the Priority Development Assistance Fund of former Senator Bong Revilla Jr. Quirino Vice Governor Mary Calaluan, former Dufin Quezon Mayor, and Register Officer 1 of Atimonan Quezon, Ginian Cervantes, faced the hearing as part of the prosecution witnesses. They claimed that they were not the ones who accepted Revilla's PDAF projects. Two Quezon residents also deny receiving any agricultural kits. They say that their signatures in a document stating that they were beneficiaries were forged. Revilla himself admits that he cannot blame the witnesses who were presented in today's hearing, saying their names, including his, were used in the corruption.
Alam natin, biktima sila. Biktima rin ako eh. Dapat managot dito kung sino yung dapat managot. Kung ghost project ito, sino yun? Sino yung nagpeke ng signature namin?
Revilla says the slow pace of the hearing of the case is a serious concern.
Sino yung may kagagawan? Dapat yun ang managot. Not me. 3 years na po ako nakakulong. Yun ang masakit dito.
Revilla is accused of receiving 224.5 million pesos kickbacks from his pork barrel. He is currently detained at the custodial center in Camp Crame. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Malacanang insists that the proposed abolishment of the Presidential Commission on Good Government, or PCGG, has nothing to do with politics. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The Malacanang defended the proposed action of the administration to abolish government agencies under the executive branch which may have functions not useful anymore or duplicative in nature. Among this is the Presidential Commission on Good Government, or PCGG. PCGG was created under the administration of former President Corazon Aquino, which primarily aims to recover the ill-gotten wealth under Marcos regime. Based on the PCGG data, from 2012 to 2016, it was able to recover billions of worth of ill-gotten wealth. Malacanang said that this function may be done by the Office of the Solicitor General.
While the PCGG actually handles the administrative function. So, based on their proposal, the OSG can also handle the administrative functions as well.
The presidential spokesperson, however, denies that upon transition, the recovery of the remaining ill-gotten wealth will be affected.
Again, let me stress, it's not a political question. It's a question of streamlining and being able to consolidate consolidate functions so that there'll be no overlap.
In line with this, Malacanang also clarified the statement of President Rodrigo Duterte on abolishing the Commission on Human Rights, or CHR, as mere frustration. With regard to CHR's officials, this is the answer of Malacanang.
However, it is a constitutional commission and it cannot be abolished by mere legislation. The chairperson and his members, however, serve at the pleasure of the President.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The Commission on Elections says the poll body cannot be demolished even if the country shifts to a federal form of government. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Hindi mo pwedeng buwagin ang COMELEC dahil na kailangan ka ng ahensya na magpapatakbo ng ating mga halalan. Ang tanong lang is that will COMELEC continue to be a national organization or will it be a state organization?
This was the explanation of COMELEC Chair Andres Bautista when asked about what will happen to the poll body if the proposed shift of government from democracy to federalism pushes through. In the proposal of former Senate President Aquilino Pimentel Jr., there will be 11 federal states when the country shifts to federalism, 4 states in Luzon, another 4 in Visayas, and 3 in Mindanao. COMELEC Chair Andres Bautista says it will still depend on what kind of federalism the country will adapt. Bautista says one example of federalism is that of the United States, where each state has its own election agency.
Yung pa nga din ang pwedeng mangyari, no? Baka magtayo ng COMELEC for Luzon, baka magtayo ng COMELEC sa Visayas, magtayo ng COMELEC sa Mindanao. Depende yan sa mga aakda dito nga sa ating federalism law.
COMELEC says it is ready to discuss its stance on the matter should Congress summon the poll body regarding the proposal. COMELEC also recommends a nationwide discussion among lawmakers to help the public understand the effects of federalism in the country.
Ang mahalaga para sa akin ay talagang dapat maturuan, dapat mabigyan ng kaukulang impormasyon ang ating mga mamamayan kung tayo ay magpapalit ng ating anyo ng pamahalaan.
Bautista says implementing federalism in the country will not be effective at present, especially since the country is being run by a democratic government. Shifting to a federal form of government will mean each state will be given autonomy to create their own laws, like on taxation and infrastructure. The national government, meanwhile, will be in charge of matters pertaining to internal and external defense as well as foreign affairs. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
In other news, the provision of increasing the excise tax on petroleum products may possibly be the focus of debates when the Senate convenes as Committee of the Whole to tackle the tax reform package of the administration. Nel Maribohok tells us why.
Senate Committee on Ways and Means Chairman Senator Sani Angara says the impact of the provision on excise tax on petroleum products on poor families is a concern to most of the senators.
May concern kami na baka yung tama dun sa mga lower income sectors, baka hindi nila kayang i-absorb. Kasi kung tayo-tayo lang, kaya natin i-absorb yung 10 piso kada araw na pagtaas na presyo.
Senator Win Gatchalian also mulls over some possible adjustments on the tax rates and the period of its implementation to minimize the adverse effects of the tax reform.
Kumbaga common agreement namin na kung magiging mataas yung magiging inflationary effect, maghanap tayo ng ibang formula. No? For example, baka pwedeng, kasi 3-to-1, 3 years yung execution. Baka pwedeng mas mahaba pa o pwedeng mas maliit muna in the first year.
The proposed bill states that an additional 2 to 3 pesos will be imposed on the current taxes of petroleum products. This means that a total of 6 pesos per liter will be added on diesel in year 2020. The initial 3 peso increase will start within the next half of 2017. Based on the study conducted by the Department of Finance, the 3 pesos tax increase will result to a 40 centavo fare hike on public transport vehicles that use diesel. House Committee on Ways and Means Chairman Congressman Daquila Cua says they stand by the approved House version of the tax reform package, wherein they see that the big increase on the prices of basic products is due to the activities of cartel members.
Hindi po one-to-one ang relation ng pag-angat ng presyo ng krudo sa pag-angat ng presyo ng bilihin. Ang isa pang mas nakakapangambang rason ng pag-i-increase ay ang mga cartel ng mga industriya.
The Senate committee targets to approve the tax reform package by September. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
It's August next week, but the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, has yet to begin the printing of ballots for the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections. Despite this, the COMELEC assures it still has enough time to prepare. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Hindi pa naman gipit, no? Kaya lang kung talagang wala pa tayong makitang direksyon, mapipilitan kami bumili ng mga gamit, mag-imprenta ng mga balota, o kaya gagastos na tayo. At sana gusto namin iwasan kung sakali mang ipagpapaliban.
The poll body has to print 57 million ballots for the barangay elections and 21 million ballots for sangguniang kabataan elections. COMELEC Chairman Andres Bautista assures they can accomplish everything in time for the election in October. Bautista says the commission is set to discuss when to begin the printing of ballots.
Pag-usapan niya sa impact next week sa August 1.
COMELEC says it will respect what the decision of Congress will be and assures of pursuing their preparations.
Kung ano man ang magiging desisyon ng ating liderado tungkol dito ay aming gagalangin at aming ipapatupad. Kami ay handa na magsagawa ng halalan ito October 23, 2017.
The COMELEC also calls on the Congress to immediately decide on the matter to prevent wastage of funds, as the agency has allotted 6 billion pesos for the October polls. Meanwhile, should the barangay and SK polls push through in October, COMELEC says the elections in conflict-affected areas in Mindanao like Marawi can still be postponed. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Philippines will no longer host the 2019 Southeast Asian Games, according to the Philippine Sports Commission. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
The ongoing crisis in Marawi City is not only the reason why the Philippine Sports Commission recommended to cancel the Philippines' hosting of the Southeast Asian Games in 2019. Other reasons the Commission explained are the lack of sports facilities and a number of issues sounding the Philippine Olympics Committee. For instance, Commission on Audit has issued notice of disallowance against POC amounting to more than 27 million pesos because of irregularities in the country's hosting of the 2005 SEA Games.
There are many areas na mag-ayos kami ng facilities. Then pangatlo, I think meron pang mga bagay-bagay na dapat ayusin din sa POC.
The government has to spend around 500 to 700 million pesos for the supposed hosting of SEA Games. Meanwhile, PSC was alarmed on reports it received about children evacuees from Marawi City who are looking up to ISIS. The children said they started liking the terrorist group because the terrorists give them food and give salary to their fathers. PSC personnel were able to talk to these children during the Children's Game for Peace held in Iligan City recently.
It was written by our coaches when we had our Children's Games for Peace that some, if not many, of these Marawi backward children, they consider ISIS as their heroes.
For this reason, the government is intensifying their sports activities for the children, not only of Marawi but in other places where children are exposed to conflict. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, plans to limit the time of operation of transport network vehicle companies Uber and Grab. Joanna Ano tells us why.
Uber, Grab, and U-Haul presented to the Technical Working Committee of the Land Transportation, Franchising, and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, the system of their operation like accreditation of drivers, basis of fares, and number of TNVS units operating for a particular time. This prompted LTFRB to study the possibility of limiting the hours of operation of Uber and Grab. The agency says the move would not put to waste the franchise that would be given to them and would also limit the number of vehicles plying through major roads, which normally causes heavy traffic.
So pinag-aaralan namin na if ever we will grant franchises, we will put in minimum number of hours na dapat online kayo. Kasi nga, kung bibigyan namin kayo ng prangkisa at 2 hours lang kayo ng isang week, sayang naman yung prangkisang binigay ng gobyerno sa inyo. Bigay na lang natin sa iba na willing to serve yung minimum number of hours.
LTFRB also explains it will also remove the scheme of some drivers that operate only during hours when the fares are high. Under the system of Uber and Grab, the driver operating for 40 hours within a week is considered part-timer, while those exceeding are considered full-time. Some TNVS drivers are not in favor of the said proposal.
Hindi po okay sa amin dahil ang sa amin kasi, lalo na kinuha namin yung sasakyan, may monthly amortization kami. At the same time, siyempre, pangbuhay din sa pamilya namin. Kung lalagyan nilang limit, mas maganda. O di, to make it fair, lahat yun. UB Express, taxi, may limit na rin.
Aside from limited operation, the LTFRB has also ordered Uber and Grab to deactivate all TNVS drivers who do not regularly operate and drivers accredited only this July. But LTFRB has not finalized yet the conditions or basis for a TNVS driver to be considered inactive. The agency plans to finish its consultations in September, after which it will issue another memorandum order which will put into order the regulations governing the operations of transport network companies. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Ilonggo singing hopefuls have been given the chance to be discovered. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
From Luzon, we joined the Discovery team here in Visayas to discover the talents of Visayans. Our first stop, the capital of Negros Occidental, the city of Bacolod.
Bacolod is known as the City of Smiles. True enough, as many happy faces are what we saw during the Wishcovery on-ground auditions. It can't also be denied that the Ilonggo Wishers have enjoyed the performances of the aspiring singers. One of the talented auditionees is JM Bales, a working student from Iloilo. JM had to find ways just to make it to the on-ground auditions.
Examination week namin ngayon. Kaso, siyempre gustong-gusto ko talaga kumanta at maka-perform sa stage, yun. Pangarap ko talaga ito. So, nag-take ako exam ahead of the prelim dates.
Despite her busy schedule, Pauline Barrientos, a businesswoman, also tried her best to be in the audition. Pauline stopped pursuing her dream in singing for some years because she had to concentrate on her studies.
You say sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead.
I think I joined this audition because has been my dream since I was young. I realized that it's time for me to pursue my dreams in singing.
Bacolodnons are thankful to Wish 1075 for what they say is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It was a great experience though because Bacolodnons have given the chance to go up on the stage and get some maging part ng isang ng wish.
The next Wishcovery on-ground auditions will be in Cebu, Baguio, and lastly in Manila. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Bacolod City.
Coming up, U.S. President Donald Trump ban on transgender people in serving the U.S. Army.
A 2-year-old Texas toddler showcases impressive basketball skills.
And curious diners enjoy an unusual dining experience in Taiwan's Toilet Team Cafe.
More from Y News after this break.
After a long walk around the city and seeing Taipei's beautiful landmarks, the next place you will be looking for is a place to eat. But aside from the many nice restaurants and cafes in the city, there are unique places to dine that will definitely arouse your gastronomic juices. Amiel Pascual tells us why.
This place is a toilet-themed restaurant called Modern Toilet. It is in the middle of Ximending, a shopping district in central Taipei. It was launched in 2004, inspired by the owner's experience sitting on the toilet while reading his comic book. The first thing you will notice here are the toilet seats and of course the food that are poop-like, from poop-shaped chocolate ice cream to poop bread and meatballs. Foods here are served in toilet-shaped dinnerware and drinks in toilet-shaped urinals.
Nung una, ayoko kasi para siyang, hindi kasi ako hindi malakas yung loob ko sa mga Pero yun nga, nung nakita naman namin, okay naman siya.
First time experience na ganito yung concept ng mga container nila, ng mga Saka ang food, okay naman siya. Saka wala, exciting.
For curiosity, kaya napunta kami dito. Ngayon, we found out na talaga namang extraordinary ba. Tapos, nung matikman namin yung food, okay naman yung food.
Hindi naman kayo parang nadidiri sa umpisa?
Oh, no. Kasi malinis naman eh. Kaya nga naging curious kami kung ano talaga yung magiging dating ng toilet ganito. Kaya eto, good as good.
If you don't have the appetite for a toilet-themed restaurant, you might want to check this vintage car-themed cafe called PS Boo Boo. There's a full-size car and hubs of cars inside the restaurant where you can sit and dine. Established in 1999, PS Boo Boo is dubbed as one of the oldest themed cafes in Taipei. Food here is a little pricey compared with other themed restaurants, but it's definitely worth it, according to some patrons.
Because I was a fan of Meet Your Garden way back 90s. Yeah, I was watching that TV series, Taiwanese TV series. It feels so nostalgic. It brings back memories because now I cannot relate to new Korean or Taiwanese TV show. But when I saw the restaurant, parang balik daw Ming Su and Shansai love stories. So may kilig moments.
There are many other themed cafes and restaurants that you can visit in Taipei, depending on your likes and interests. But one thing is for sure, within this world of highly competitive market, creativity and business is a must. Amel Pascual, UNTV News and Rescue, Taipei, Taiwan.
A very intriguing concept about the poop restaurant. But I would have taken it a step further, functioning toilets.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, we come up with a lot of interesting things as the years go by, but we're wishing everybody to stay safe and dry for the Typhoon Goryo.
Yes, please take care, everyone, and always monitor news updates about the weather.
Yes. Those are the reasons behind the news, July 27, 2017. I am Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Why News.